The village of Amiri sleeps beneath a blanket of wood smoke and silence, broken only by the occasional cough from mud huts and the rustle of goats stirring in their pens. A rooster's cry splits the darkness as 22-year-old Glory jerks awake on her bamboo mat, her threadbare wrapper damp with sweat despite the Harmattan chill. The 7th mark she scratched into the mud will glows pale in the moonlight, one for each month since her mother's death. Each scratch tells a story of survival. The left big toenail blackened from when Grace mashed it with a mortar last new moon. The wound never healed properly, leaving her with a permanent limp that worsens in the cold. She massages the ache as she rises, her joints stiff from yesterday's beating when she spilled palm oil on Grace's favorite wrapper. The welts on her back still sting as she pulls the heavy water pot toward the door. Grace banging on the doorframe with her cane. Up, worm. The sun will catch you sleeping. Do you think firewood fetches itself, or water boils on its own? Must I pour hot pepper in your eyes to wake you properly? Glory's morning chant, whispered as she begins her first trip to the well. One more day, just one more day. The sun will rise and set, and I will still be here. The village well is 3 compounds away, past old man Izzetti's hut where palm wine fumes seep through the cracks, past the blacksmith's daughter who still bears rope scars around her waist from her husband's jealous rage. Women are already gathering, their gossip sharp as their water pots are heavy. Look at Thomas' daughter walks like a chicken with broken wings. No wonder no man wants her. Glory keeps her eyes down, counting her steps. 12 trips to fill the household pots. 12 chances to slip and earn another beating. On the 8th trip, her arms give out, sending water cascading across the compound. Grace's shadow falls over her before the sound of the cane does. Thomas stumbling in from his nightly drinking, reeking of palm wine and the cheap perfume of the brothel women. His bloodshot eyes fix on Glory scrubbing the floor where he's tracked in mud. Thomas slurring. Look at you face like a slapped goat. Your mother at least knew how to smile. You're just a waste of food. Glory's knuckles whiten around the scrub brush. The lye soap burns the fresh cuts on her fingers, but she welcomes the pain. It's easier than remembering how this same man once carried her on his shoulders during harvest festivals. How he'd sung her to sleep with stories of their ancestors. The man who drank himself into a stranger after the fever took her mother. She scrubs the sweat beading on her brow, the stubborn set of her jaw, the way her eyes stay dry, even when the soap burns its way into her wounds. This is the face of a girl who has learned crying only brings more pain. Market day in Amiri brings the usual chaos, traders shouting prices, children darting between legs, the stench of overripe fruit mixing with the earthy smell of fresh tubers. Glory stands at Mama and Keisha's pepper stall, grinding dried chilies into powder. The work pays 2 naira per bowl, just enough to buy salt for the household. The pepper dust burns her lungs and makes her eyes water, but it's better than being at home. A hush falls over the market square. Even the chickens stop clucking. A stranger limps into view, his milky eyes scanning nothingness, his gnarled hand gripping a bamboo staff that taps rhythmically against the baked earth. His tunic hangs in tatters, but his shoulders are broad from years of labor, his arms corded with muscle that speaks of strength beyond his apparent disability. Villager 1 mattering. See how his shirt hangs on him like a sack. Another hungry mouth. Harrison's nostrils flare slightly at the comment, but his face remains placid. He stops exactly 3 paces from Thomas, who's drunkenly bargaining over a sickly chicken. Harrison's voice like gravel. They say you need strong hands for harvest. Thomas squints, his bloodshot eyes taking in Harrison's physique. A calculating gleam enters his gaze. Thomas belching. What use is strength without eyes? Can you tell cassava from yam leaf? Can you see snake holes before they bite? Harrison's smile doesn't reach his vacant eyes. Without a word, he reaches for a nearby basket of mixed tubers cassava, yam, and the poisonous wild variety that looks nearly identical. His fingers dance over them, moving with uncanny precision as he separates them into 3 piles. Harrison, my hands see what matters, elder. The crowd murmurs in awe. Glory, grinding peppers nearby, doesn't notice how Harrison's head tilts slightly toward the sound of her mortar, a movement too precise, too directed for a truly blind man. Nor does she see the way his nostrils flare when the wind carries her scent toward him, not the expected stench of poverty, but something floral beneath the sweat, like the memory of better days. Thomas scratches his stubble, already calculating how to exploit this blind man's strength. He claps Harrison on the back, his palm lingering just a second too long to assess the muscle beneath the rags. "Come, my farm needs clearing," said Thomas. "You'll eat what we eat, sleep in the tool shed. Payment comes after harvest." Harrison nods, his milky eyes giving nothing away. As Thomas leads him away, Harrison's staff accidentally knocks over Glory's mortar, spilling precious pepper powder. He freezes, his face the picture of contrite blindness. "Harrison, forgive me, daughter. My curse makes me clumsy." Glory looks up into those clouded eyes for the first time. Something passes between them, a spark, a recognition. Then it's gone as she quickly gathers the spilled pepper, her fingers moving deftly to salvage what she can. Glory said softly, "No harm done, uncle. The earth takes what it wants." Harrison's head tilts at her words. He opens his mouth to respond, but Thomas yanks him away toward the farm. Glory watches them go, unaware that her life has just pivoted on this seemingly insignificant moment. Months later, the farmhouse reeks of sweat and palm wine as Thomas counts wrinkled naira notes, licking his thumb after every fifth bill. Harrison stands motionless by the door, his blind eyes reflecting lamplight unnaturally. The harvest was bountiful, yams piled high in the storage hut, cassava flour spilling from baskets. But Thomas' purse remains stubbornly closed. Thomas chuckling, "Payment comes after the yam festival." "What? You think money grows on palm trees?" Harrison's bamboo staff cracks against the floor. A spiderweb fracture appears in the mud brick. There grows thick with tension. 93 days of labor deserves 93 days of honesty," said Harrison. Thomas reaches for his machete, his drunken bravado rising. Glory, peeling cassava in the corner, holds her breath, but Harrison doesn't flinch. Instead, he turns his face toward her, not toward the sound of her peeling knife, not toward the rustle of her wrapper, but directly toward her face with uncanny precision. "I'll take the girl as settlement," said Harrison. The knife slips from Glory's hand. The blade sticks upright in the dirt, quivering like a divining rod. The world narrows to this moment, the way Grace's face transforms from shock to glee, the way Thomas' drunken mind calculates the benefits, the way little brother Sam's eyes swell up with silent tears in the shadows. Grace clapping. "Yes, take her. Maybe she'll finally be worth something." 8 agonizing seconds pass. The village seems to hold its breath. Then Glory reaches for Harrison's outstretched hand. Her palm is colder than the Harmattan wind, her grip trembling but resolute. As they walk away, we see the knife still vibrating in the dirt, a silent testament to the life she's leaving behind. The rusty 14-seater bus groans under the weight of yam sacks and squawking chickens. Glory sits rigid by the window, counting the cracks in the glass, 17 in total, each one a fracture in the life she knew. Harrison sleeps beside her, his breathing deliberately even, though his fingers twitch whenever the bus hits a pothole. The road from Amiri to Lagos was a tapestry of Nigerian life, women balancing baskets on their heads, motorcycle taxis weaving through traffic, the occasional flash of a politician's convoy kicking up dust. Glory pressed her forehead to the glass, watching her reflection blur with the passing landscape. Somewhere behind them, smoke still rose from the village cooking fires. Ahead, only the gods knew. At the third checkpoint, armed soldiers wave the bus to a stop. One leans in through Glory's window, his breath reeking of stale cigarettes. "Your blind man can't protect you, fine girl. These roads are dangerous for pretty things," leeringly said the soldier man. Harrison's hand accidentally brushes Glory's wrapper hem. Her fingers find the hidden 500 naira note tucked in the fold. Without hesitation, she tucks it into her bra, meeting the soldier's gaze squarely. "God protects those who can't see evil coming," said Glory. The soldier laughs but lets them pass. As the bus lurches forward, Harrison's lips twitch. The note had been crisp to crisp for a beggar's pocket, a small slip. But Glory, lost in thought, doesn't notice. Through her window, Nigeria unfolds in vivid vignettes. A burnt-out tanker surrounded by children playing OGA and Thief, a Pentecostal preacher standing on a Coca-Cola crate, screaming about end times. An old woman bent double under firewood, her spine curved like a question mark. Glory's reflection mouths silent words against the glass. What have I done? The gates swing open without a sound, revealing a paradise of manicured lawns and flowering hibiscus. Glory's bare feet sink into grass softer than any village mattress. Somewhere, a sprinkler hisses, the water catching sunlight like scattered diamonds. Inside, the air smells of lavender and new paint. Glory freezes when she sees the toilet. Glory whispering, You want me to make water in this bowl?" Harrison suppresses a smile. His demonstration of the flushing mechanism sends Glory scrambling backward, convinced she's broken some city taboo. The shower proves even more bewildering. That night, under a stream of hot water, Glory finally breaks. She slides down the tiles, her sobs lost in the spray. Meanwhile, through the keyhole, Harrison watches with perfect vision, his expression torn between guilt and admiration. Over the weeks, Harrison engineers subtle tests. Test 1. The spilled soup. He accidentally knocks over Glory's carefully prepared egusi. She inhales sharply. That pot represented 2 hours of pounding and stirring. But without a word, she begins cleaning, giving Harrison the unburnt portion from her own share. Hidden camera footage shows Harrison studying her reaction, noting the way she bites her lip to stay composed. Test 2. The market humiliation. When a trader spits at Glory's feet for begging credit, her knees hover an inch above the filthy ground, ready to debase herself for Harrison's medicine. At the last second, he finds a crumpled 1,000 naira note in his pocket. That night, Harrison reviews the footage, zooming in on Glory's trembling hands as she counts the change. Test 3. The storm. When cyclone winds tear off the roof, Glory shields Harrison with her body, taking a gash from flying zinc. Blood drips onto his face as he fights the instinct to protect her instead. Morning reveals Glory stitching her arm with needle and thread, biting a leather strap against the pain. Harrison pretends not to notice her feverish shivers, but the camera catches his white-knuckled grip on the doorframe. The throne room doors swing open to reveal walls lined with ancestral masks. Glory's knees buckle when she sees the oil portrait Harrison in military regalia, his eyes piercing beneath a general's cap, Queen Okafor emerging from shadows. "Welcome home, son." And hello, daughter. Harrison removes his blindfold. His eyes clear and sharp as broken glass lock onto Glory's every word, every touch. Every tear was real. "But this is who I truly am," said Harrison. Glory's fingers find the scar on her arm. Her voice is terrifyingly calm. "Do you know what you've taken from me?" Harrison sinks to his knees. "Everything. And I'll spend forever earning it back," said Harrison. Their reflections warp in the polished marble floor, the general and the orphan merging into one. The deepest wounds aren't from cruelty, but from love that came disguised as something else.